welcome Chris Turner. Chris is the CEO for CMS Controls. Chris, thanks for joining me this morning. I really appreciate your time.
Sure, my pleasure. Before I was really in a leadership or CEO or president role, I participated in something done by our local Chamber of Commerce, which was called Leadership Rally. And essentially that was it was a peer group, but not necessarily of leaders. At the end of the day, it was really three things. It was networking, of course. It was exposure to other industries that I may not have exposure to, whether it be banking or, anything. And then it was idea sharing, right? And I really enjoyed it. It was, it was a finite amount of time, meaning it just lasted for a year, almost like on a school year type calendar. But I really liked it. I really loved the exposure and all the things I just named. And so when this opportunity was put in front of me, I figured what better way to really capitalize on that when you only have leaders in the room and people that are on my same level that I could, get advice from or even learn just, industry knowledge from them. Because, what I found in a very, very short amount of time is no matter what industry you're in, no matter how many employees you have, whether it's 10 or 110 or, 1,100, we all have the same challenges. And we've probably all made a mistake that somebody else can learn from. And I'm certainly guilty of that. And I'm happy to share those so someone else can do it a little differently and a little better. So that's really what exposed me to it. I mean, I felt like I was on Vistage Light with that leadership rally. And this really, really exceeded my expectations as far as knowing how that would be or having a good idea how it would be and how it actually is. So really great experience thus far. Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a positively unique position that I am transitioning into a bigger CEO role, as you know, and the person that I'm taking over for, and he's just leaving due to retirement. So it's a slow transition, and I have the benefit of conversing and collaborating with him all the time to get advice. But not everybody has that. Even in that role that I have today, he and I may have disagreements, or I may feel strongly about something that he feels strongly about in an opposite way. And as you know, just last month or 3 weeks ago in our Vistage meeting, I had an issue or a challenge that I put in front of the group, and it was exactly that. The president of our bigger organization and I had differing views on something. I wanted to make sure I handled that diplomatically and professionally, and also see if my viewpoint even made sense to the bigger group. And I can't tell you how helpful it was. I took the advice of the group, by the way, and we pulled the plug on the plan that I wasn't comfortable with. And he was completely good with it. And I came to him and all that. So that's happened time and time again at every one of our meetings. It's not always me, but it's usually somebody who has a great success story to tell. The answer sounds a little self-centered, but if you look at my role is to protect. I don't own my company. I'm just in charge of it, right? So I protect my employees and the investment that the owners have. And when you have a collaborative effort to make key decisions, that is hugely important because, again, to kind of bring it back home, I have a luxury now of having, my bigger president in his role. I won't always have that. So, they say that it's lonely at the top, and I certainly can appreciate that. And this is absolutely a way, you can bounce ideas off really smart people that wouldn't be there if they weren't smart people. It is a concern, and it was one of my concerns, right? I mean, none of us have enough time in the day to do what we're doing, and, time management's a challenge. But, so in our industry, again, I work for a specialty contractor, and one of the things we struggle with, and you hear it in our industry all the time, is what if we train this person and then they leave? What if we invest in this person in training and they leave? Not my original thought, it's a very good one, but the rebuttal to that thought is, what if we don't train them and they stay?
Yeah.
Right? So I love that as a kind of a parallel situation. So it sounds corny or almost too cliche, but I would say you don't have time not to do this, right? Yeah. Because I think about it, to put it maybe in even really oversimplified terms. If, I'm trying to decide whether I I'm making this up, but hire a COO or I don't hire a COO, right? Just to make up a situation. The amount of hours I lay awake and think about that and struggle with it and do a spreadsheet, interview this and do an employee feedback here and a peer network here. The amount of time I spent doing that, I probably could have solved it in 1 hour at a Vistage meeting. I mean, just being honest with you, right? And it's not about how quickly it got done. It's the fact that it got done correctly. My peers in that meeting will say, here's what I think you should do. Here's why I think you should do it. Don't do this, by the way, because I've done it and it was a mistake, but you really need to do this. And by the way, they're going to tell me something I haven't thought of. Yeah. So the time commitment, while it looks daunting, when you go to your Outlook schedule and try to put a placeholder on there, in the grand scheme of things, the ROI is pretty quick and pretty huge. I was a founding member or whatever of our group. And so I never went and sat in on another group, but had I wanted to, I'm sure you would have set that up. It was just simply because I didn't ask. But it also goes back to my comfort level was extremely high based on my experience at Leadership Rally. But I would say come to a meeting.
Yeah.
And audit the meeting, right? When you're in college, you went and audited a class. I'll audit the meeting. And I would say, absolutely, I think, and have some key points you want to take away from there. Or if you've got concerns, Nicole will know what to hit and not hit.
Yeah.
While you're there.
That's great advice.
Again, I don't know what's customary or not customary, but, reach out to a few people that are in the group or in another group or even in another, somebody in Denver or San Francisco or whatever. What I started finding, we're part of a larger private equity group. And as I started, hey, I had a really great speaker at my Vistage meeting. Oh, you do Vistage? I've done Vistage for 13 years. I do it in Atlanta. I really liked it. The only reason I stopped was because, I retired out of my, whatever the reason. But there's a lot. It's kind of like a cult is a really bad word, or it could be negative. But I mean it in the most positive sense, right? There's more people doing it than you realize, and to kind of put the dot on that I across the T, as we talk about trying to recruit new members or just make our group stronger. I've suggested a few to you that you said they're already in a group.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show, that it has its value and a lot of people see the value. So
yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Really good advice. Give someone a chance to kick the tires a bit and just get that gut check, even on the group, right? Meeting folks, because that's a big part of it is the relationships and the comfort level, because in order to get the most of this, you need to be able to come and be transparent and vulnerable and hold yourself and others accountable. So I appreciate that advice.
And I think, one of the other things I might add is, if you look at my DISC profile and you look at the DISC profile of others, right, they can be vastly different, just no different than your workplace or even hopefully your family. But, they're all leaders, could be programmed differently, or a stronger I and a really strong D and a dominant C, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're all leaders for various reasons, and it's their perspective that'll make you so much stronger.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Really appreciate, Chris, you taking the time to do this. Have a good one.
All right. Safe travels.
Okay.
Bye.